I must begin by registering very strong protest on behalf of the minority side as to the presence of this motion on the order paper this afternoon. When I saw this motion on the order paper, I called, and the records can show, I called the leader of majority, the Honorable Senator for Kericho, Aaron Cheriot. I was unable to reach him because we in this House have agreed that we will not transact business by ambush. It is not a surprise. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I am extremely disappointed that it is very contemptuous for you to introduce a motion in such a way, because it gives us a very difficult time in the leadership to guide our members as to how to treat this particular motion. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I protest because I don't like being made to look like a fool. Yesterday, after resolutions passed by the Central Committee of ODM, I was reading a statement saying that ODM will not countenance any further delays in the selection process of the IEBC commissioners, only to be told today that there is a motion on the order paper to extend time for this panel to do its job. And what's worse, Honorable Speaker, when I reached out to my leadership in the National Assembly, they forwarded to me a letter from this panel, signed by the chair of the panel himself. The first thing I noticed, this letter was dated the 20th of March. This is 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Honorable Speaker. This House has no idea. The second problem is that that letter is addressed only to the Speaker of the National Assembly, continuing this spate of contempt for the Senate, when they knew very well that this matter has to be processed through both houses of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that we continue to be treated with such contempt. So when I go through the letter, I'm trying to find out what are the reasons. And it is clear that even the mover of this motion has no access to that request. And by the way, in that request, this panel is asking for 30 days, not 14 days. It is the National Assembly that set it at 14 days, and there is nothing that stops us as a House at setting that deadline at 4 days or 7 days or 2 days if we wanted to. And they are citing various reasons. By the way, I do not hold brief for this panel, and I have strongly objected to, I don't want to be distracted, Honorable Speaker. Strongly objected to this.
He does not want to be informed. Let him finish.
I strongly object to some of these insinuations that somehow ODM is the one running this panel. And if you read the newspapers today, you would think that there is a war between me and Senator Wambua. It is not going to happen. Me and Senator Wambua are never going to fight. But the truth of the matter is, we also do not want these incessant accusations against ODM. Honorable Speaker, if you hear the names of the constituencies by elections that are being mentioned, majority of them are held by ODM. ODM was holding Ugunja, we are holding Magarini, we have a nominee to cabinet, and there is a young man from Kajiado waiting to replace John Madi in the National Assembly. We are the ones who are suffering the greatest prejudice. Some of these political parties that you see making noise about ODM, and I have asked Senator Wambua to distance himself and his party from some of these non-entities making noise, and you know very well that they cannot field a candidate in Banisa. They are village political parties. I don't know what, Senator Wambua, you are doing with these characters. I want to dissuade you from hanging out with these people, because if you just moved a bit, you would allow me to deal with these people mundu kumundu. And they know me. And I don't want you to catch strays, as we say in the streets. Honorable Speaker, some of the reasons these people have given, they are saying that the time is too short because they shortlisted 116 people. I personally took time to watch one of those interviews, and I'm being vindicated because I said these commissioners, the panelists, are talking too much. They like to listen to themselves. Instead of putting a question to a candidate and allowing them to talk, somebody is asking a windy, long question. And now I am being asked, after complaining that they are talking too much, they write to me to extend time so that we can listen to them more. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We want the candidates, the people who are coming to run elections, to speak so that we can know what they are all about. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to conclude and say, even if I'm inclined, even if I'm persuaded, please, the sort of contempt that is being extended to this Senate will not be allowed to go on any further. Mr. Makanda should have known that there are 2 houses of Parliament. He is a PhD holder, for heaven's sake. He should have written to our Speaker and written to the Speaker of the National Assembly on the 20th, and we would have had time to debate this motion and give him what he wants. On behalf of the chairperson of the Energy Committee, the Senator for HII the Honorable Dr. Oburu Oginga Odinga. Allow me to move the motion on the report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its inquiry into the liquefied petroleum gas LPG explosion in Madi area, Embakasi, Nairobi City County. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its inquiry into the liquefied petroleum gas explosion in Madi area, Embakasi, Nairobi City County, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 8th August 2024. Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, I am a very proud member of the Energy Committee, and I have been so since the inception of this House. This particular report, Honorable Speaker, was prepared under the auspices of the previous committee. As you are aware, we had reconstitution of the committees when we began this session. So if you look at the chairpersons forward, at that particular moment in time, our chairperson was the Senator for Nyeri, the Honorable Matinga Wahome, who now is a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission, which we have just been discussing right now, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, on Thursday, 1st February 2024, an LPG explosion occurred in the Madi area of Embakasi, Nairobi County. The facility involved was an LPG plant used for storing and filling gas cylinders. This explosion claimed the lives of 11 Kenyans and left at least 280 other people injured. The explosion further resulted in a massive fire which spread to nearby buildings, causing extensive damage to residential and commercial properties. Following this incident, Honorable Chair, I had occasion, in fact, together with the area Member of Parliament, the Honorable Babu Owino, and the party leader of ODM, the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, to visit this particular area. We resolved, together with members of the committee, that we had to conduct an inquiry as to what led to this particular incident happening, with a view of making sure that it never happens again. Honorable Speaker, during the committee proceedings, we framed the deliberations in order to arrive or to determine the following issues as key issues for resolution. And the first reason was why the LPG refilling facility was located so close to a human settlement, the ownership details of the company that was running the facility, compliance to statutory and regulatory requirements of having an LPG refill and storage facility, details of LPG refill and storage facilities and their locations in the county, sorted per counties, and safeguards that the government has put in place to avoid a recurrence of the same. So during these deliberations, Honorable Speaker, we held 6 meetings as a committee, and I want to thank members of this committee, led by the then chairperson, for the dedication in order to bring some level of closure to the people of Madi and the people of Nairobi in general. Honorable Chair, we held 6 meetings with key stakeholders, including the then Cabinet Secretary for Energy, the Director General of the National Environment Management Agency, the DG for EPRA, the Director and Gas Explosives Expert at EPRA. Then we had the Petroleum Institute of East Africa also appearing before the committee, and the Energy Dealers Association. With your permission, Speaker, I will just run through very quickly some of the committee observations during that engagement, and I've noted them down. Honorable Speaker, first of all, one of the key observations that the committee made is that there's involvement of multiple legal regulatory bodies in the licensing process, which creates a complex web of responsibility that somebody needs to obtain before they operate such a facility. The problem we have is that these various agencies that are responsible for giving these licenses do not speak to each other. So somebody will go to the county government of Nairobi and obtain a business permit saying they want to set up a shop somewhere there. And then they will go with that approval to NEMA, say we are setting up a garage. In fact, this particular site had been registered as a garage. And they didn't even have a license from EPRA to operate a gas filling plant. So that presence of multiple legal regulatory bodies and the fact that they do not coordinate and speak to each other when required to, then it causes that complex web of responsibility, and it is very difficult to pin somebody down and say you are the person responsible. As I said, that LPG refilling plant in Madi was registered as a garage and not an LPG facility. So the county government of Nairobi disclaimed responsibility for any licenses that had been issued in this regard. But you will see from our observations and recommendations that there was also very serious dereliction of duty on the part of the county government of Nairobi when it comes to enforcement and inspection. Honorable Speaker, this complex web of many regulatory bodies led to the fact that this company, in fact, had a valid environmental impact license from NEMA, and the registration number is there, approving the installation of a 10 metric ton LPG storage and filling plant. The committee noted, however, that the issuance of the environmental license did not absolve the company from its obligations to acquire other applicable permits, and especially permits from EPRA. As a result of that incident, Honorable Speaker, EPRA suspended all operational licenses issued to Maxis Nanyuki Energy, who was the operator of this particular plant, and Clear Mwiki gas suppliers. It further shut down 63 out of the 140 LPG storage and refilling plants due to high risk or risky technical audit score. Following reinspection, 39 of those facilities were reopened, with some implementing safety measures like firewalls, reducing the required distance from residential areas to about 35 meters. Honorable Speaker, very quickly, we made certain recommendations as a committee, and we are hoping that we will follow through after this House adopts the report. The first recommendation we made was that the DCI must investigate how Maxis Energy obtained an LPG storage and filling plant license, and those found culpable be charged in accordance with Section 99 of the Petroleum Act. In addition, the National Police Service and Directorate of Criminal Investigation should fast-track all pending criminal cases relating to non-compliance of LPG regulations. Honorable Speaker, we also recommended that the Ministry of Energy must expedite the approval of the LPG regulations of 2019, which have provided for more stringent compliance measures when it comes to operation of similar plants. And also, Honorable Speaker, that all licensing authorities, and especially the county governments, must enforce zoning boundaries prior to issuing any permits. Honorable Speaker, the committee also recommended that there will be no new petroleum facilities licensed in residential neighborhoods. And this is a matter that we took up with the Governor of Nairobi when he appeared before this committee last week, because we would want him to address the proliferation of gas filling plants and even petrol stations, especially in residential areas, which is something that causes undue and unnecessary danger to the people of Nairobi and other areas. Honorable Speaker, finally, we address the question of compensation for affected victims, and this you will find at paragraph 18 on page 12, that the affected victims should be compensated through the National Disaster Management Unit, whose main function is to administer a comprehensive emergency disaster program in collaboration with stakeholders, EPRA, and in order to save lives and protect property. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we have tabled this comprehensive summary of the committee's findings, observations, and recommendations. And on behalf of the committee, we just want to wish the various to thank the various stakeholders who came before the committee and submitted their views, including the cabinet secretaries, NEMA, EPRA, PIEA, and the Energy Dealers Association, and the Governor of Nairobi City County for appearing, and we hope that they will take seriously the recommendations that have been made by this committee. I wish to also acknowledge the 11 lives that were lost in the tragedy and the many people who were injured or displaced or who suffered loss due to damage to their homes and their businesses. This devastating event left a profound impact on our country, and our hearts go out to all those affected. As the committee responsible we have made a commitment to ensure that the relevant regulatory bodies implement stricter safety protocols to prevent future incidents. Finally, I wish to thank the officers of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Senate for their support during the entire process of considering this matter. It is now my pleasant duty, Honourable Speaker, to table or to move this motion and to ask that I don't see any member of the Energy Committee, the Majority Leader, to second the motion. I thank you.